Right, YouTube, so unlike my last video, which was a movie pitch but Spider-Man related, this will have drawings in it, so yay for that. But I'll be talking about my movie pitch idea for the Batman Brave and the Bold movie, which is going to take place in the same cinematic universe as James Gunn's Superman movie, which I saw last summer, which I like. We have a book with the word Gotham on it, and as you guys know, unless you live under a rock, Gotham's Batman City. So this first drawing technically isn't Batman, but I still want to show it off because it's of a Batman actor in another great franchise, the Dune series, Dune Messiah. That is, of course, dead giveaway Robert Pattinson, and the Dune character style. I don't know, or I haven't gotten to the part of Dune Messiah where I reached the character he may be playing, but I thought it would be cool to draw him in the style nonetheless, and he sure as hell has the Batman fit. That led me to this movie pitch. I was thinking, I remember hearing a little bit here and there about, occasionally with online forums about Batman is sort of an anti-hero, some people think, but personally I want to give my take on that, and although I don't necessarily, and I can see some ways he is sort of an anti-hero in some ways, I think ultimately what makes Batman, in my opinion, the greatest superhero is he's like, a hero, but he pushes it just to the edge of almost being an anti-hero. And in my opinion, the big reason for that is his no-kill rule, which was demonstrated perfectly in Robert Pattinson's The Batman movie, directed by Matt Reeves, and that's why I really liked his Batman. But I know for whatever reason some Batman actors have killed and some have done it in grotesque ways, which kind of defeats the purpose in my opinion. So I don't know, although I did like Affleck's Batman, I think that the Batman for the Batman Brave and the Bold should definitely implement a strong no-kill rule and be like, a mix of the cool comic book aspect of Affleck's Batman while also having, the great Bruce Wayne of Christian Bale, and of course the sort of Batman Bruce Wayne fusion that doesn't kill, such as Robert Pattinson. But this next drawing is of Bill Skarsgård as Batman. I drew a few variations and some concept art, so let me pull that drawing up. Let me get it at a better angle. There we go, there he is. This is sort of a Batman in the winter-like fusion, which is why his suit is a light shade of gray and why the cloak is white. Yeah, now I rested my camera. So for this next drawing, I drew sort of Bill Skarsgård in a Bruce Wayne and Batman fusion. As you can see, this is primarily based on a shot from The Batman, as well as a movie called Boy Kills World, which is very interesting concept. I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard that's a big material where people think Skarsgård would be a cool Batman, and I think so too, because he wasn't originally like one of my top picks. Like, I admit I was more interested in actors like, to say, Jensen Ackles as Batman, because he kind of reminded me of the actor I did for the voiceover Lego Jones Beach Batman, but now I've grown to favor Skarsgård. This next drawing is Batman under the moon with his little hoodie up, but he's also holding his mask, which is sort of a subtle nod to Arrow, which has done plenty of subtle and unsubtle nods to Batman. Batman from behind, as you can see, he's watching over Gotham, and I made sure to make this drawing look like it was a back view of Batman. Thinking about it, maybe one of the most perfect villains for Batman the Brave and the Bold, although this isn't going to be too much of a movie pitch, or sort of mini movie pitch I'm going to call it, is Mr. Freeze, who I drew here, which I think would be a perfect villain because he's like, has sort of a realistic feel, like he's kind of realistic on the inside, as he's sort of a tragic villain similar to characters like Darth Vader, because Mr. Freeze lost his wife, and or rather is losing his wife and is desperate to save her and will do anything, which is somewhat similar to Darth Vader, but I don't want to tie this into Star Wars too much. But another reason I think Freeze would be a cool villain in Batman the Brave and the Bold in the DCU is because he's also sort of a fantasy sci-fi like villain, but also just not incredibly realistic, such as some villains that were in Christian Bale's movies and Robert Pattinson's movie. But he's sort of just a blend, in my opinion. I know you guys must be wondering, since I'm talking so much about Batman, do I have a top pick for Joker? And to be honest, I don't. I've seen many cool fan casts, but none of them really jump out to me, because partially, well, first of all, we've seen a ton of Joker, and Joker 2 was absolute buns, but I definitely expect the Batman 2 and Batman to be significantly better than that, because it's honestly shocking how bad Joker 2 was. But even considering that, I do want to see Joker, but maybe a little bit later. I know it's kind of cliche because everyone says, oh, we've seen Joker so many times, but I somewhat agree. And speaking of which Joker, I will show off my little Joker drawing. So here he is. What I want of Joker is him to be clean cut, but also sort of a minimalist approach, because I think Joker has cool style, but I think it's cool to see him with tuxedos and sort of suit. I have seen some test footage and images of the Batman, Robert Pattinson's Joker, and I didn't personally like it. I felt like he was too scarred and kind of creepy looking, which I know Joker is creepy, but I think, you know, it's sort of his villainous aspect and creepy, charismatic charm clown that makes him creepy. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes they emphasize too much on Joker's appearance rather than his heinous crimes. So yeah, if they include Joker for this movie, I think Joker needs to be, you know, let his actions speak louder than his appearance. Until then, is Batman an anti-hero? I say no. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more soon. Goodbye.